Well, it's 17 degrees in the valley bottom today, but up here on top of the Bwlch Mountain, it is still quite bracing. Now, I thought, let's mix things up a bit and have a day out. So I am going to head over to the Bwlch Mountain and head down into the next valley, where I'm going to go back to have a look at something that I remember as a child. I've stopped off in Blaengwynfi because I wanted to show you the other side of the story regarding the Rhondda Tunnel. Now, you remember last year I featured quite a lot on the channel about the Rhondda Tunnel Society and their desires to reopen a tunnel going through the mountain. Well, this is the other side of that mountain. So you'll see the cut in the trees up in the forestry there. That cut goes all the way to Blaengwynfi, and below that cut, many thousands of feet, is the Rhondda Tunnel. And in June, I will be going down it on this side, which is a lot easier than on the Blaengwynfi side. So, seeing as I was passing through, I thought I'll just stop off and check to see if the signage is okay. We put this up last summer, and yes, still looking as fresh now as the day that we unveiled it. So below this mountain, that is actually still there. The stonework is still there. So when it comes to, and this bit here, this is the air shaft that I will be going down in June. I will be lowered down. It's a lot easier to get in this way than on the other direction. So all this is coal spoil, and all this will be removed in order to expose the tunnel. And the idea is that you could cycle through or walk through, and then through this housing estate, which originally was the railway sidings, you connect up to a cycle path that then takes you all the way down the valley. Got the Tunnel Hotel up there, and this is the redirected waterway, the stream. It's a nice quiet area, and I'm sure the tunnel will add to the enjoyment of people in this side of the valley. They can then come through to the Rhondda. One of the old residents told me that when the tunnel shut in the late 60s, the early 70s, a lot of couples had to make decisions. Because if you lived in the Rhondda and your girlfriend was over here, you had to make a decision. Will we continue to see each other, or will we call the whole thing off? Or, as he said, a lot of people, they got married in haste because they knew once the tunnel was closed, if you went by public transport, it would be a 2-hour, 3-hour round trip to go and visit your loved one. But it's nice and quiet here now. And this is why they couldn't put the railway back. It's because they've built houses now on top of where the track was. But it would be nice to get onto my bicycle, bike through the mountain, come over here and pop straight down to the Afan Valley, which is where we're going to go now. Now this is the major advantage of having my own car, is that I can go somewhere, I can stop, have a little look around. And we've just entered the village of Kama. And every time I've been on this road, I've been in somebody else's car. So we've always just gone down the road and gone on to our destination. But when I was considering coming back to Wales, one of the houses that I looked at is actually across the road here. Now, if I had taken this house, it would have been a disaster, because not having a car, this is quite a remote and isolated place. But as kids, we always used to pass this street, and we always referred to it as the Dolls' Houses. And this is the first time that I've stopped, and I'm going to go and have a closer look at them. So we're now in the Afan Forest Park, and here are some old pictures of Bwlch Farm and Mill. Bwlch Farm was owned by the Jenkins family ever since medieval times, when the first documented records of ownership appeared within the land surveys of 1527 and 1588. Now, it's not a day for walking today because I haven't got the right boots on, but this is certainly somewhere to add on the list of places to come and see. Just imagine if you lived in that house there and the river running by the side. Beautiful place to have your ashes scattered when the time comes. See, I'll come back when I've got my proper boots on and we'll go exploring up these little hills and vales. And we'll see where this little path takes us. But it's just amazing to have the freedom to just stop and look at these houses, because they just don't look real. But I looked at the floor plan, like I said, and they were rather cosy indeed. But I think there's only 1 or 2 buses a day that come up here. I have seen a bus, but I think they're very few and far between. And I would imagine a lot of these now are holiday lets, Airbnbs, you know. I found that the first year of moving to Wales was all about setting up the house. And then the second year you get sucked into the Groundhog Day, that every day is the same, whether that's going to the homestead or just getting food in or just looking after the house, looking after yourself and the cats. And it's easy to forget in the second year the reasons why I moved to this place. So this summer it's going to be a concerted effort to get out and come and see these places, and also to get out of the car. and get back on 2 feet again and explore and see what's down that lane. But not today. Let's go off to the Miners' Museum and a cup of tea. Bizarre. Just as we drove up then, I felt quite emotional. Haven't been here since the 80s. Right, we need to pay for a parking ticket, but 2 people have just told me, oh, out of service. Right, well, we've established that the thing isn't working. What's all these? I don't remember this bit here.
Right, boss.
Let's have a look down here. Oh, look, these are some old drams. I'll have a look. See, there's so much to see. Little wildlife section here. And then up here, this is the engine house. Oh, that's good. Look, you can see through the mirror. Although it's a bit too... Oh, there's actually an engine in there. Can you see that? There's an old Glyncorrwg steam train. Maybe. Oh yes, look. There's a track. In fact, there you are. That's a better view. I vaguely remember this now. Oh, it's a pity it's not on. We could have gone off for a little stroll. Look at this. Miners, what you call them, hats, helmets. And then these next door are the drams. Oh, look at that, explosives. Taken from the local coal mines, I think. Some information here. Back in the days in 1860, the boys used to push the drums. Colin is in a rush, so we'll do this very quickly. Yeah. But I vaguely have a memory of being on that. When did they put this on then?
Oh, this has been, we've had this since the museum opened.
But what days is it out and about?
Most days we try it out, but when we have schools and things down, it's out all the time.
Yeah. Oh, it's good that it's still there. In fact, the train that I had as a kid was the same. Was the same one now. I remember the same colour and everything. And all this is run by volunteers, isn't it?
Yeah. We're all volunteers.
And is it this year? It's 40 years since the miners' strike, or not?
It's 40 years, this year, since.
And if you don't have places such as this, all that will just be forgotten after 100 years. No?
Where we are lucky, we have the schools here every so often, and they come down and they thoroughly enjoy themselves, especially the engine. The engine makes their day, as they say.
There you are. That's all the names of where the drams have come from. So this is the lamp room. So this is where the miners used to come and get their lamps to go down, and in order to get the lamp, they had to give their I think these were called checks or tokens. So once the lamp had gone, the token would be put on top, just to say that that the man had gone down the mine. There's another little steam train in there.
Where's the box? Where?
Let's have a look in this next building here. The Halia House. This is where all the machinery is to drive. Would this take them down? Let's go and ask. If you don't know, ask, isn't it? Is anybody available just to explain this to me in here? Is anybody available just to explain what this is? Is this the thing that used to take them down the mine? Is this what used to take the cage down?
No.
Right. What's this about then?
These, I'll explain now. Look at the light on. This haulage, is for pulling the drams out of the coal face.
Right.
It probably go about a mile or two. Then another engine then will pick one up and take it further to the pit bottom. Sometimes there are big engines down there, electric engines. I know I used to drive. I started there when 1950 I started underground, right? How old am I, you know?
Oh, well, you look about 60 to me.
Well, 19 next month.
All right.
This haulage, is got upright pistons on it, right? I reckon it's the only one left in the world. It was made in Bridgend.
Just down the road.
Yeah. There used to be an engineering press in Bridgend, Shepherd's. Uncle of mine used to work there. Funny thing, he used to work in the drawing office. He might have done a drawing for this one. And it was just as I go down into Bridgend past the hospital, as I was dripping down into, before I get to the roundabout in Bridgend, it's on the right hand side. Anyway, this is the only one left in the world. There's pistons on it.
And what's your name?
Peter, my name.
Peter.
It says here on it, on the steel, Shepherd's Bridgend. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Shepherd's Bridgend. Now, that's what that engine there is the same, but the pistons run back and forth like an ordinary engine. My first job underground was driving one of them. Right? Pair of sixes, they call it. That does the same thing. Brings the coal from the coal face in the drams. Perhaps it'll shunt, perhaps it'll go through 3 or 4 of them before it reaches the pit bottom. Or it'll get to one big place, I guess. Wider than this, of course. And the big engines then will take over from there and take them up to the pit bottom.
And they used to communicate by bell.
Bell. That's the bells there.
So if you had one bell, it was to stop.
Yeah. Two to slack out and 3 to pull in. Right? Well, the cost go with the garden now.
I remember doing that in the 80s when I came here.
Yeah, I probably showed you then.
Yeah.
Well, that's the bell. That's the last horse I put up.
Let's have a quick go at that. Hold on. Here we go. So you've got to connect it.
Yeah.
Kettle's boiled.
That's the last one. I done that coding now not long ago. I put no man right in. Mr. Bond used to be a manager. Take the photograph of it.
Yeah.
I done that not long ago.
Yes, because they used to, I don't know if they were allowed to, but they used to sit in the drams to go home, didn't they? To go up to the top of the pit.
Some were allowed to do it. What they called a spake. They would pull, they'd be drums on their own then, right? And a rope, a safety rope running underneath, fixed onto the mane and tail. And I have been in this spake coming out, and the drum jumped the road, the first one, which was a drum of muck, heavy to keep them on the road. That jumped the road, and the other 3 tipped over, and I was in the 3rd one. And I can remember tipped out like that, and the rope still pulling out. I was hanging on like that. I'll never forget it. Hanging on. And the drum flipped back onto his wheels. And I was the only one left in the drum out of 6 of them. A lot of them had broken arms, broken legs, a lot.
And you walked away fine.
I come out all right with a stiff neck. I can remember it now. I was in Glyncorrwg up the other in 1957. We had an explosion there. And I was driving one of these on the dump end of the face where the explosion went. A big bang I heard, and all the dust flying all over the place. And next thing, a bloke comes out to me, have I seen the manager? I said, yeah, he just gone out. I'd have run after him and tell him there's a fire in the district. So where it exploded. He didn't tell me it exploded. I was only 17 years of age, right? I ran out, caught up with the manager, told me to run into the southern district, tell all the men to go out, and all the first aid men to come to a certain point and jump in these drums to take them in. And I went back in, and I had uncle working in that place. And when I got there, they had brought all the men out that was burnt. There wasn't anyone killed mine at the time. And they were all outside on the main. And my uncle said, what are we doing here? I said, come back in. Why? You don't think, you know? And when we got to Big Bottom, I was in the last man with a stretcher. Dr. Art from Glyncorrwg. The old Dr. Art's father, it was then, living in Glyncorrwg. He came down the shaft on the bottom of the pit injecting the men with, what do you call it? Morphine, which is in them first aid kit.
Oh, to take the pain away.
Stretches, is it now, see?
Yeah. What age did you start down the mine?
17.
17.
That one I must have been 18, I can't think. I wrote a big bottom on it. I got it in the house. I keep saying I should have a book wrote on it, but I never got around to doing it.
What's it like to be here then, in the museum?
Well, to pass the time, I do all the painting. I paint all around there. I paint a big wheel. I paint all this lot. I paint right through, everywhere.
You can come and do my house next.
Well, I no problem. I get all the painting in the house and come on 90. I think you got to keep going on. I mean, I've done a bit of everything, you know, bit of lorry driving, I've done when the mines closed and whatnot. Bus driving, I worked in steelworks, steel erecting. I worked on, I did have a gap in between. I started work outside, like, you know. And I worked on, there was a jetty in Port Talbot. I worked on that jetty. I was 2.5 years working on the jetty out there. Putting the piles in and putting the steel around them. It was good. I enjoyed that type of work, but it was good to go back to the pit too. I went back as a pitter, like, you know, and that's what I've been as.
And it's good to volunteer, the camaraderie between people.
Well, that's it, yeah, we do. We meet them from everywhere, comes your mind, Australia, they all come in and all talk, like, you know. Are we there? That's the one that puts them down the pit.
Oh, this,
big one?
yeah, this one out here.
No, not the first one. That's you.
No, the one at the far end.
Yeah, that's the one that puts them down the pit.
Well, we'll go down and have a look at that now. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much anyway,
Yeah, okay.
and all the best. So this one down the far end, this is the one that used to take the mine shaft down to pit bottom. This has been here since it all started. A wooden dram used in North Pit back in 1889. I've just noticed something which I'd forgotten was here. Keep talking about the Rhondda Tunnel. There are two stones, one put on the Rhondda side and one put on the Afan Valley side, and this is the one from the Afan Valley. So this is what stood on top of the entrance to the tunnel where I took you this morning, and the other one is being held in a secret location in Blaengwynfi, which I know where that one is, but I'd forgotten that it was here. Now, if the tunnel does open, this should go back. But I think the deal is that they are going to replicate it and keep this one here. A walk-in trail up there. But I want to go and see the museum. All this is completely changed. When I came here last, it was more of just a tumble-down shed. So it's good to see that they've invested in the place. This is Gareth, and he's going to take us around. This
is where we start.
This has been here since the 80s. I remember this.
South Wales coalfields, and where all the red marks are, that's where all of the museums, the mines were. Awful lot in the time. 1947 this was.
Lots. And was this the height of the time?
Well, it started the early 1800s, just built up, and I just imagine 47 would be about the height of it, yeah.
Beautiful.
Different types of coal in the areas.
Well, I can just go into my garden and see coal.
We got onto the site there, which is the hardest and deepest coal you can find. And this is the bituminous, this is the dirty coal.
So does the anthracite burn?
Fierce, yes.
Yeah.
So it's household coal. This is more for steam coal.
Right.
And that's the coal is the deepest coal almost down as far as diamond because it's compressed over millions and millions of years.
So is that worth more?
Yes, yeah, yeah. Show you the drawers. So what they had to wear to go down. Food box, or Tommy box they used to call them.
Most important thing.
Self-rescuer, which would be clipped onto the belt. And that would give them air for about half hour if you got an hour to get out the gas.
Right.
The water bottle. And from 1947, that's the helmet they used to use. Before that, it was a compressed cardboard type of helmet here, which a lot of miners didn't like. I don't know why, but they didn't like them. So you see a lot of photographs in the museum now, them all got flat caps on, and that's the only thing they would wear until they had no choice. And of course, there's the belt, the battery for the light, and there's the self-rescue I was telling you about that.
So did they actually have a canary?
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, the canaries are there for when there was any possibility of gas in the mines. They take the canary down with them, and if they could see the canary acting strange, they knew there was gas there. So they'd go out and get gear and come good to go down like.
So that's probably why back in the day there were a lot of bird clubs around.
Probably, yes, yeah.
Pigeon clubs.
Pigeon clubs and pigeon fanciers.
And budgies,
Yeah, yeah. There's a map here, shows the two local valleys, which is the Afan Valley we're in now, and then the Glyncorrwg Valley there.
And then if you press these...
Yeah, that'll show you where the mine was, and it'll tell you on the board then when they were open, when they were shut, and how deep they were. And St. John's was the last mine to close in these two valleys.
Right.
So, yeah. Here's our little mine. On the bottom you can see the pit ponies. And then you've got the men working down the mines.
And is it correct that the ponies only came out during August?
Yeah,
Sunday or
minus
something?
fortnight. Yeah.
Otherwise they would just live down there?
Yeah, they stay own stable and everything down there.
So when they came out, did they have to keep the blinkers on?
Yes, they kept the blinkers on when they came out.
Because the sun would be a bit too bright.
And then gradually they'd ease them off as the eyes got more used to light again.
And then just as they got accustomed to it, it was back down.
They had to catch them and go back down it.
Your holiday's over.
Yeah. With the early 1800s as well, the boss owned the mines, the houses, the shops, so he kept them on a tight down.
Usually the chapels as well.
Yeah, everything the same, yeah. Here's the checkboard, look. That sort of number would be my number, say. So I pick that up, pick my gear up, put it on the next board over so they knew I was down. And when I came back out to go home, then I'd swap them back over and put the gear on to charge, ready for the next shift.
In my house, under the stairs, it's got a hook with a number on.
Yeah. This just shows you, it's like the lifts were up and down. One lift next to you, you'll be in this lift here.
Yeah.
If you look up there, you see a big white spot.
All right.
You knew you were at the top of the mine then. Of course, as you go down, that spot will get smaller and smaller until it tiny disappeared.
Yeah. I remember this bit with all...
Well, a lot of it haven't changed. A lot of it's very similar.
All the props.
Yeah. You got a board for the byproducts of coal, which used to make with coal as well.
Yes, I think people forget that it's not just to go on the fire.
Yeah, it's true. There's a little friend Dave here, look, he's drilling into the coal. In his very early days, no such thing as pneumatic tools or anything, so he'd have a ratchet drill to drill into the wall, into the coal.
Not even a hard hat.
Not even, well, a stapler. Yeah. And the light he had would be something like a little paraffin light like that.
So it was tall enough to stand up in?
No, that he's lucky, yes.
Oh, right.
I'll show you a bit more there now as you're going round. Of course, there was children down the mines those early 1800s until about 1843, young as 6-year-old girls as well. And you can see the sort of conditions they were working in. Wives are down there as well, so they had to earn something. And it wasn't until about 1843 the government stepped in and said no children under 12 and no women at all. So it was only the boys from the age of 12 up working down.
And would they usually be doing the doors?
Yes, doing the doors, or
The fire doors?
at one stage they were dragging the coal out off the sleds. As you see farther down there, he's on his hands and knees digging out, so you can see the difference in it now.
What's that? 4 foot?
In fact, yeah. Of course, with the small children behind his eyes, not so bad. But he's quite a tall fella.
I remember interviewing somebody, and he said he thought Sunday was called Sunday because during the winter it was the only day they saw the sun.
Yeah. He's digging the coal out on his hands and knees. He fills the sled up, and then of course they drag it out then. And as you were saying just now about the pit ponies.
I remember this horse.
Sparky?
It does look like the same one.
It is the same one. It's Sparky.
Yeah.
And as you said, they down the pit for 50 weeks of the year. They'd have their own stables and somebody to look after them.
And it was it the same miner that used to look after it?
Yeah. And they just come up for the miner's fortnight then.
And then what used to happen when the horse got to an age? Did the miner take it on, or was it down to the sausage?
It depended on if the horse was worth keeping, or they might sell it off or put it down. It just depended on the health of the horse at the time. There's a bar there with the tools on because they had to buy their own tools in the very early days. Instead of carrying them back and forth all the time, you could see they can drill a hole in them, put a peg in the wall, and they could leave it down there and lock it up.
I've seen tools in my garden with holes in, and I've often thought,
that's the idea of it.
Right. That's something we could do now in the shed. Get our hammer and put a hole through it.
Yeah. We could hang it up then, see?
Yeah.
Instead of being in the cupboard. Of course, didn't have time to go anywhere for food, so they sat and ate their food wherever they were working. Didn't have time to go and wash their hands or anything, so...
And when they used to go down the mine, sometimes they used to have to walk a mile or two to get.
Yeah, a couple of miles, could be a couple of miles to do.
So I wonder if anybody's done a map of where all these...
I would imagine there'd be something there.
Because you could go down into Herbert and come up in the Ricos.
Yeah.
And did they fill all them in? Or is the valley covered in secret?
They're all still there, nothing happened to them. Right. They're all flooded now, they're filled with water.
Right.
So...
Now this one looks a bit modern.
Accident, the roof caving, look. You got the rescue man overviewing what's going on, and they're trying to dig a trap miner out. And you get into the state now of pneumatic tools like that drill there. And this one, he's using a small drill here.
So it obviously got safer as time went on.
Oh yeah, from 1947 they've had health and safety coming into it then, see,
Because another thing an old guy told me, it was one of the women said, when the hooter used to go, when there was a blast, you knew something had...
Yeah.
And the telltale sign was, if the stretcher was on the shoulders, he had died. But if it was down by the hip, then he was okay.
Oh, right.
This is back in the 90s,
Quite possibly, yeah.
Ones.
There's got a haulage machine there, look. That would be down one end of the mine, and either pull empty ones in or take the full ones out. And what they used to do, it's a bell there, I'll show you it in a minute. What they used to do was ring the bell when that machine was ready to start up, so they made sure everybody was clear. But what they used to do was put a hacksaw blade across here to make the connection. We've
just seen this over in the other place.
Yeah.
And as soon as he did that, I remember doing it as a kid, being in here.
Yeah.
Because you could do it.
And occasionally you see a spark.
Yeah.
Right? But what happened in St Kenneth near Cardiff, did that, create a spark, blew the mine up. Right. Killed over 400 miners.
Yeah.
Right, you've got the fireman by here, look. He's drilled all the holes, connected all the dynamite up. So you've got to clear the mine out now to blow it. So you make sure everything's clear, he's clear. He'll call fire, which will bring everything down. So they made sure, when it's cleared, then they'd all come back, start cleaning out.
And would you have heard that on top?
No, I don't think so.
The housewives, they wouldn't have heard an earthquake every time.
No, I don't think so. No, it's so deep down.
Because it was so far down.
Yeah. And what it was in this area, there's a lot of clay coming out of the coal. What do you do with it? Built a small brickworks just below here. Right. Made bricks for houses, building houses out of it.
And this is why there's a lot of these fir trees, because they were planted for the props in the mine.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we've seen them all here now.
Yeah.
Until there's a bit more of industrial revolution sort of thing, and you've got the rings.
So we wouldn't have been this height walking.
In the main thoroughfare then, when you're going down towards the face, probably was. But if you're going into a seam, whichever way the seams are going, then you'd end up small like that.
Yeah.
This is old-fashioned rescue gear, look. The rescue man will have his helmet on. And you can see the two pipes coming down, trailing behind him. And somebody would be on the bellows, giving him a bit of air.
So you had to make sure you got on with that man.
Yes, completely. Those are liquid oxygen tanks.
Make sure to buy him a pint, don't you?
Yeah, say thank you. Those are just like different types of cables you used to use down the mines. Because of course everything had to be protected and make sure it's clean and there's no risk of sparks or anything. There's the surface here, look, how it's open. Yeah. They have the mouthpiece in, strapped to the back of his head, and that would give him a little bit of air to get out of the mine. There's the canary cage. If it got gas, they put it in there, give it some air. And hopefully that would fetch it round.
Right.
This is a little tunnel we used to use when you get children in here.
Oh, I don't think I'll be getting down.
It's a bit, it's very small.
No, not with my bad bank anyway.
Yeah.
What's this here? Click here for a sound.
It should be working. There.
1.
It's showing you the different noises that how you hear down the mine.
Yeah.
2.
Yes, you don't want to hear them, do you?
No. It's a trapdoor, but they call it a trapdoor. What it was, you could change the direction of flow in the mine.
3.
Right.
So if they want to go down a different way, then they either open or close the door.
So is this like a fire door? No.
It's the same sort of thing, but it will control the fresh air going down the mine. Do you know, if you could say if you want to go that way or go that way, you close the door and you go that way.
Is that a hatch?
That's a hatch. That was there to allow pressure, because with the door shut, pressure would build up and you couldn't open the door.
Right.
So you'd have to relieve the pressure by doing that.
5.
Right.
6.
But the problem is, they wouldn't put a miner there because it cost too much money. But a boy there with a candle went out, he'd be in total darkness.
Yeah.
So they tie him to the door to stop him wandering off, getting lost.
There's quite a few boys you could do that to today.
Yeah. Of course, the miners never went to school, so they built lodges outside work and put libraries and all where they learned to read and write. And the friendships grew more than outside work. So this is, you always have a place like this.
And there's quite a few of these still around.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you were asking me just now about how they used to treat horses. There's a casualty book for a horse. It'll tell you the name of the horse, if it was any good, if it died, if it broke a leg or anything. Right. But it did keep a record.
Because during the First World War, when the horses went out, after the war, a lot of them were sold to butchers.
Yeah, because
so they helped them during all that time, and then it was like, you're off down.
If you're no good now, you go
down the Knackers Yard.
Knackers Yard, yes. All we got in these drawers then is showing you the different sizes of horses used to have in mines. As you see, these are quite big.
So the Queen went and visited.
Yeah. No, don't know what mine that is, but she was there.
Because the Duke of Edinburgh, went to a mine in Fernhill,
All right.
and my cousin had the helmet and the stick that he used.
Oh, yeah,
down.
yeah. As you see, it shows you just the different sizes of horses that are down here. I think they're a bit smaller. And then, they're very old pictures.
Quite
eh?
big, isn't it?
Yeah, and others are in the big horses, like, you know.
Yeah.
That proves it that they got their own stables look down there. You got that one, it's about a horse's name is only Bob, so that one horse went in that stable all the time. You got the farrier down there, look, he's changing shoes. So, you know, they had to look after the horses, or they wouldn't work.
Thing. When the mines closed, it wasn't just the miners. There was all these side little
Yeah,
tasks.
all different names that have come out of mines, horses' names.
Yeah. Sometimes they're the lost story in all of this.
Yeah, yeah. We got a few photos there of the Afan disaster, all coal mining related, isn't it?
Yes, I'm going to go and visit that in the summer.
Yeah, I've said I'm going to. I've got to get up sometime. But and apparently, back last year, there had a couple coming in, yeah, and the fella that took those photographs, they were going to visit him in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a little kitchen.
All right. So now this has changed from what I remember.
Is it? They did everything in here, bath in front of the fire. Look.
So what period is this then? As a guess.
I would say around the early 1900s, something like that. And of course, 2 bedrooms upstairs and the toilet in the garden.
I wouldn't mind this house now, to be honest. Nice and cosy it looks.
Well, this is one room you did everything in there,
Yeah.
including having a bath.
Yeah, so you put the coal in the fire and you'd all stay. I remember going to visit people back in the 80s, and she used to watch TV in the kitchen. She used to make her food.
Yeah, it's the only room they had.
She did
Yeah.
everything but sleep there.
Yeah, that's the only room they had downstairs. Yeah. There's this again, it's pit disaster I was telling you about. Look, what happened.
What's there now? Is it just grass?
It's just grass, as far as I know, and I haven't heard anything different. That happened about 1913, that was.
And they said we will learn the lessons, but then the same thing happened.
Same thing happened again and again and again. Different types of lamps we got, look, from a candle on the top there to like a flint gun, as you can see the picture of the boy behind them there. Peg and ball lamps, which they used to tie to their hats, if you can see the pictures there, how they used to work. And then you got the different types of lamps with these are all gas testers. The fireman would squeeze the rubber ball, hold it up into the gas, fill it up, connect it to the lamp, and that would tell you what gas was there.
Fascinated by this one. When you think about all the sparks.
Yeah. But the only thing it's got to be like a cold spark, not high enough to ignite.
And this is, because everybody seems to know the
Davy
lamp.
Yeah, but they're all different types of lamps, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which I didn't realise they started coming up. Yeah, there's so many different types.
And then these are all the banners.
Yeah,
What do you call
the
them?
banners.
Yeah, the banners.
Yeah.
I remember these going through the streets in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because this year now is 40 years of...
That's for 40 years after the national
Of the
strike. Yeah.
strikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember having something through the post saying, please do not boil the kettle until a certain time in the day, because the electric had to be...
Oh,
the
save the
mines.
electric, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's this one here? All right.
That's driving the lifts. It's a controller, speed controller. Because the lift started going too fast, it would slow it down. And if you want going fast enough, it would speed it up. It's like the lift control.
Right. And every mine, did they have a badge?
They all had different types of badges, yeah. That lady there, Violet John, Irish lady, came over and married a Welsh miner, and during the '84 strike, she helped them with clothing and food and anything else, and they absolutely adored her. And of course, wherever she went then, she was given badges and everything, as you can see. And the lady was up here a few years back, and there she is there.
So I've just come back around. Now this kitchen looks completely different to how I remember it, because like they've told me, the building was demolished and built from scratch. So this is completely different, but it has the same essence. Although looking at it now, it does look a bit like my house. It looks like they've been to Too Good to Waste. That's exactly like the one that I've got, the hot water bottle. They also told me that mostly schools come here, but because of cutbacks with schools, there are a bit too few visitors. So what I will do is, if you would like to check out some more information, I'll put a link to the museum in the description below. And I'm sure they would be grateful for any donations you could spare. I remember in the family garden finding lots of these. I wasn't sure what they were for, but now I found out. But yes, I remember this as a kid. Oh, this is new. And this cafe is new as well. So you can pop in and have something to eat before you go out for a walk. So you've got all the food here. Come in for a drink as well, can you?
Yes.
So when is this open? Have you got different times compared to the museum?
We're 7 days a week, 10 till 4.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to start with a cup of tea.
Cup of tea?
You've got to support the local business. I've picked up some leaflets of some other things maybe we'll do this summer. So it seems to be now, whereas I remember in the 80s, the museum was the main focus and the add-on was the cycling. Now it's sort of flipped around. The cycling and the outdoor adventures is the predominant feature, and now the museum is tagged on by the side. But at least it's still here. Now, where do we go now? Do we just go back to the car and go home? I think that's what I'll do, because I've got my suede shoes on. I'm not dressed for hiking. And that'll be another day and another video. It's good to come back and visit these things. Keep the memory alive. Ooh, Shall we have an ice cream when we get on top of the Bwlch Mountain? I do not know. Let's watch and find out. So I'm just leaving Afan Argoed, and across the road there is a sign for the Glyncorrwg Centre. And I've never been there. Now I was going to go straight home, but it's only 2:30. And even if it is closed, then at least I know where it is and I know what to do for next time. So come on, let's go off on another adventure. Not quite sure what this place is. It says Glyncorrwg Mountain Bike Centre, Campsite and Ponds. So I'll have a quick look inside and see what it's about. So it looks like there's a lot of trails that start and end here. We are here. And I'd imagine you could probably go all the way down to where we've just come from. Something to note for the future. Now I think the cafe's upstairs. We'll soon find out. Ah, here it is.
All the milk and sugar over there.
So I've just stopped off for a tea now. What's this thing then called the ponds? Is there a pond?
You just walk down the path. It's literally like 30 minutes. No, not 30 minutes. 30 seconds, minute. And there's 3 ponds, all connected to each other. And you can walk around. There used to be fishing, but it's not open anymore.
Can you go for a dip?
No, there's too many reeds, so you might drown.
But this is where you come to hire your bike downstairs and
Yeah,
have
you
some...
can hire bikes, you
Right.
can camp on the campsite, tea and coffee. Sometimes we have events up here then, like bands and singers.
And when's the cafe open?
The cafe's open from Wednesday to Sunday. So Wednesday to Thursday we're 9 to 4 and then 9 to 5 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But sometimes we are open on evenings, so you just need to check our social media.
Just had a nice cup of tea in there and I could see one of the customers had a very nice sausage and egg bap. I was tempted. Who knows, I might pop back up before I go. But she said, pop downstairs and see Jeff. Jeff knows all the gen. So let's go and have a word. Sadly, Jeff was too busy and he hasn't got time to talk. So we will never know what this place is about. But let us go further up the valley. And even though it is a dead end, I'm sure we'll get some very nice views. So just before I go down the valley, I thought I'd stop off on top of the Bwlch, have a cup of tea, maybe even treat myself to an ice cream, and then head back down to the valley, back to the homestead and to the cottage, and catch up with the cats. Yeah, I've been watching them on the camera. They've been doing a bit of sunbathing in the garden. So thanks for joining me on this little trip over to the mining museum, and I'll catch up with you next time. So from me until then, bye for now.